Come on up, Rick Gaughan. Rick is from Moravian Falls. We are the country. What he said. And he's a very close son of ours and very trusted. And he's one of the guys that is like a rock, has come through so many things, and the rock has been broken many times, and he's still a rock. Love you, man.
I love you too. Thanks, Dad. Well, the first thing that I can say at the top of this is just to put things in the order that they're supposed to be is I am a son. But in order to become a son, you've got to have fathers and mothers. That is who speaks into us. That is who speaks into our lives. That's who kind of gives you the old get over on that side or get over on that side to get you back on track. Now, like Randy said, I'm from North Carolina. We're having an amazing thing happen in North Carolina. Y'all might not quite have it yet, but it's called spring. Spring is a very, very interesting time. That's when you start going out in the yard, and if anybody has ever been around Air Force or worked at an airport or something of that sort, there's a thing called a FOD walk down. And that FOD walk down is basically where you go across every bit of tar and pavement and pick up all these little things that can get picked up in and sucked into a jet engine and cause a problem. Well, in my yard, I have a batch of trees. I mean, I've got trees in places most people wish they had places. And every one of them slough off tons of these little, this size twigs, however long. And a fool would go in there with a lawnmower and try and cut grass without going through a FOD walk down and picking all this stuff up. So I find that when you're doing something mindless like that, it's an awesome time to have a conversation with the Lord because there's nothing in your way. I don't have to concentrate on this or putting my hand to this plow to make that happen. Nothing. Just get to stand there and just get to hear what he's got to say. So I got the email asking if I would be available or willing, or I forget exactly how it was written. But I'm sure Maddie has the answers because she's the one who wrote it. I said to her, I read it and I said, sure, I'll be glad to. And then I was outside doing my FOD walk down and realized, Rick, what are you going to talk about? So Rick naturally talked to the Lord, and we got together and we're walking along out there picking up twigs, and I said, what are we going to talk about, Lord? What am I going to tell the people that I love up here in Pennsylvania about? And, or should I say, he came up with family. And I said, family? I said, yeah, I know a little bit about that. And he said, well, I do too. Funny, he had me on that one, had me from go. I started trying to process through family. And, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is my natural family. And I was born in, and that was in a little town in southern New England called, it's got too many O's in it, and it's a town called Woonsocket, Rhode Island. That's where I was born. My home was, yes, I know, say that 4 times fast and get yourself in trouble. I went to, the town I actually lived in was Cumberland, a little small town next door. And the thing about it is that back then, my dad worked far enough away that he didn't come home but on weekends. And my mom worked long hours in various retail places, a couple of different jobs. So that left my grandparents to more or less take charge of raising me. And I look back on that and think it was the most wonderful time of my life because of the fact that my granddad was a self-made man. He was a carpenter, an electrician, a mechanic. All of these things were well within him to the point where he taught vocational courses to people who needed to learn these trades. So, with this being said, and being, more or less joined with him at the hip, I was exposed to more things as a youngster, and I said, this is a good way to grow up. It was a pretty good-sized family. I had aunts and uncles and shirt-tail cousins all over the place, and the family gathering looked like I guess you would say we the people, because, it was like the whole backyard was full. And it was really it was a great way to grow up. Time went on, went through high school and all this, went into college. And I majored in pre-med. I minored in partying. Now I'll leave it to you to guess which subject won out. Of course, partying 101 had the more glamour than pre-med did. So I ended up losing a student deferment. This was not a good time to lose a student deferment. Then my 2S flashed up, jumped up in the air, and went to 1A and made me, "Hi, take me, Uncle Sam." Dad had been career Navy, and he looked at me and said, "Boy, are you going to join the Navy?" And I looked and I said, "Well, if I don't join the Navy, I'm running from the Army." So I said, "I guess I'll go ahead and join the Navy." Good deal, we'll do this. Well, my first family was the natural one. My next family was all wearing the same color outfit, had the same tailor. And the thing about it is at that time, having to leave my own family, which I was very, very close to, obviously, it's an assimilation into a unit of people where they became my family in the absence of the others. Now, that was it's a hard transition when you're born and brought up and so close as a family unit. Then all of a sudden down the road you go and you've got to find your own family. It shows that God doesn't want us to be alone. We're made to be together. And He'll put us in situations and put us in places so that He'll cause people to come to us, and we will really, for lack of a better term, we'll just kind of cleave together, because that's what we need to be. We need to have each other. In the military, it's very obvious. There's there's no need to be the Lone Ranger when you can have a whole bunch of friends that are like-minded going to do a job. That was one thing that I knew at that point. God led me there, because after dumping pre-med, they looked and they said, "Oh, we're going to make you a hospital corpsman." And I said, "Okay, what's all that about?" And he said, "Well, pretty nurses. It's warm in the winter. It's cool in the summer. You're going to love it." I said, "Hey, sign me up. I'm there. Just sign me up." In the fine print at the bottom that I never read was something about dressing you like a bush, teaching you how to spell oorah, and sending you to the Marines. They didn't say anything about that in the book. I'll let you figure out the rest of that one. So that was another family that I ended up getting attached to. Now, years later, we're out. Thank God, survived it all. My eyes were open one day when there was this flash of lightning, and I looked and I saw my wife. Not yet. She wasn't my wife yet. But we met, fell in love, we're married, we have a family. And now our daughter, 7 grandchildren, the family keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But the thing about it is I see God's hand again on that. Every time there's a family move, anything to do with family, God is right in the middle of it. The Lord has our best interest, and we can't do this alone. We cannot do this alone. The Lord puts people in our path to become family with. Now, 4 years ago, one of my spiritual dads had mentioned for years we had been seeing how the gatherings had been going over in Europe. And it was wonderful. My wife and I were watching and thinking, and this opportunity came to come here. And we came and got lightning bolts out both eyes. We had our minds blown about what love is, acceptance, family, and knitting in, all happening at the same time. And since we came here the first time, it has not, life has changed. It really has. We can sit back and watch the weekly broadcast over live stream and realize that we know more people crossing the camera than we know in our own town. Now, what does that tell you? This to us is family. I can tell you that when I came here at first, I didn't know what to expect. I had an expectancy, but I didn't know for what. I had no idea. And it's like if I had any walls of, let me try and figure this out as I go. If I had any walls, love melted them. There was no, it's like it was useless to resist because there was nothing to resist from. It was just being assimilated to the family. And I can really say that at this point, at this juncture, my heart is open to all, especially here. I try and walk with an open heart. Sometimes craziness gets in the way, and it just doesn't work that way. But in this place, I feel such a love, such this word hard to find to deliver it, but it's like there is just such a feeling of oneness here that I just can't help but to make sure that my heart is wide open. And it's just the way it is. I want you to take a look around at everybody in the audience. Just look and see these people. This is my family that you're looking at. And I love each and every one of you. Thank you. You can have it.
And you're our family, man. That's a good man right there. A really good man.